Good morning. How are you all this morning? We apologize for last night. The battery gave out on the camera and we got caught at the end, but I didn't have the time to summarize what we were talking about, and I want to do that right now. So here's a quick summary of what we were talking about yesterday. We started looking at party balloons, and we did that so we could kind of figure out the important elements for the design and the operation of a bigger balloon called either a hot air balloon or a blimp. And blimps, of course, are very large and can be as large as a football field, as long as a football field. So the first thing that we notice is that the chemical elements are really important here, and we have to understand, and we try to understand what they are all about. And we did come to the conclusion that even though they are microscopic and you can't see these guys, they all have weight of some kind. Very small, but in mass, it adds up. And we looked at air separately from the elemental table, to the extent that although air is nitrogen and oxygen, and it is on the elemental table, and those molecules have weight, air itself is a mixture of those two elements. Those two elements don't combine. They stay in ratio 78%, 21%, in a mixture that we breathe every day. And then we looked at the balloon that we blow up, and we realized that by packing air into that balloon, it makes it heavier than the surrounding air, and it will sink. And we looked then at a helium-filled balloon, and the helium-filled balloon rose. And it rose because when we look at that table again, look at the weights on the table, we realize that helium is what they call a lighter than air gas, and that's what makes it and allows it to rise. So balloons only rise then when there is either a lighter than air gas inside them, or if the balloon is filled with hot air. And of course we looked at how a hot air balloon is filled, and we realized that, whoa, that's a little bit dangerous, and even as big as those canopies are for the hot air balloons, it takes an awful lot of hot air to raise a small gondola with maybe 5, 6, 10 people at the most in it, so they can't carry a lot of weight. And we also recognize that the only thing the pilot, and these are licensed pilots, the only thing the pilot of the hot air balloon can do is cause the balloon to rise or descend. And when they get up in the air, the winds take over, and they will end up wherever the winds take them. And by the way, a little factoid that I didn't say yesterday is the fact that a hot air balloon has a ground crew with a trailer for the balloon, and they also have champagne and hors d'oeuvres and all sorts of really nice things. So they chase the hot air balloon across the countryside in order to pick it up, pack it up, and everything else to bring it back home. And while they're picking it up and packing it up, they open the champagne and they put out a picnic. That is really cool. So at any rate, we're really going now towards the blimps and the dirigibles. I mentioned they are very, very large, but they are filled with helium, and we've already seen that a helium balloon can rise completely out of control, and it can rise for thousands of feet before there is an equilibrium in the air outside and the gas inside, at which point in time it stops rising. But we also realize that rising straight up doesn't get you from point A to point B, and you have to be able to steer that boat, so to speak, or that ship, you might say. And the only way you can do that is by adding certain elements from an airplane. And those elements include a motor with propeller, and they include a vertical and a horizontal stabilizer, and the vertical stabilizer has a rudder on it to give directional control right and left. And it also, on the horizontal stabilizer, has what's called an elevator, which allows the nose to be moved up or down. And now you can fly that airship from point A to point B, and you can haul big loads. It's very slow, so you don't go very far with these big loads, but you can do photographic work, and you can do the geographic surveying that Mrs. Lotes had mentioned. So there you are, children. Hope you enjoyed it very much. I certainly have had fun. Have a good day.